I had a friend named Myrna who I met working at a Salvation Army camp 2 years ago, and I remember having a conversation with her and her saying that she had been in debt to the Salvation Army, that they had helped her and her family through a rough time. The time was when her dad had left her family. He had left her, her little brother, and her mom, which made her mom a single mother who in turn had to provide for her family. They had started going to one of the Salvation Army corps, which is a church, and they got super plugged in, and being super plugged in, they were able to get financial assistance and support that were able to help them back on their feet. And this is just one of the many success stories through the Salvation Army that allows families to get back on their feet. And this dates back to the 1800s with William Booth. William Booth was a part of the church in England, and he felt God calling him to go out and spread the gospel to the people, not just within the church, but to go out and actively be evangelists throughout England. And this didn't sit well with his clergymen. They thought his notions to be very dramatic, so him and his wife ended up splitting from the church and, like I said, going and spreading the gospel to the people. And these people were prostitutes, drunkards, homeless, and these were among many of the first converts. And he had wanted to spread the gospel and make it more attainable to not just the church, but to everyone. And after 10 years, the organization grew, and it was named the Christian Mission, and which had now grown to over 1,000 volunteers and evangelists. And then in 1878, it changed to the Salvation Army, and the converts were known as Soldiers of Christ, and over 250,000 had converted between the years of 1881 to 1885. And they had spread the gospel throughout America, Canada, Australia, France, Switzerland, India, South Africa, Iceland, and Germany. And as of today, the Salvation Army has reached to over 100 countries, which is amazing. Now, the Salvation Army has a lot of ministries throughout its organization. One of the main ones is to combat homelessness. The Salvation Army states that about 15% of homeless people are considered chronically homeless. And then during the hottest and coldest months of the year, this is the most difficult for them. And then within that 15%, 8% of the homeless are veterans who are very prone to homelessness because of the psychological trauma that they experience while they're at war, and they come back and they're unable to assimilate back into society properly. And so they in turn turn to homelessness and drugs. And then within that, there is also a lot of children who are homeless. 1 in 30 children experience homelessness. And then a lot of the ways to combat this is that the Salvation Army provides shelters so that the homeless can go in, they can get a shower, they can eat, and they have a night's rest. And then also within just the family services, they try to keep it where families don't have to be separated and that they can be kept together. So they have family service programs that keep families together by providing meal planning, utilities, and also long-term housing. And then they also have group homes and transitional living centers that assist with educational support, counseling services, and vocational direction, so that the family is able to in turn support themselves and to gain a stable position within society. Another ministry throughout the Salvation Army is human trafficking. The Salvation Army states that 3,500 sex trafficking cases were reported by the National Human Trafficking Resource Center within this last year, which is a huge number. This industry preys on minors, so 13-year-olds, which is a very young number, and a lot of these victims themselves are runaways who have already been sexually abused. So they go runaway and they find themselves in sex trafficking. And you can find a lot of the sex trafficking business within largely populated cities, ports, international borders, and metropolitan areas, so busy areas, and these are areas very prone to enslavement and labor. The Salvation Army helps to promote awareness, and they also partner with local coalitions to rescue victims and to rehabilitate them, also providing prevention activities within the victims. And they also provide care to those who have managed to escape. So this could be shelter, food, and a lot of physical and psychological trauma, which is like doctors and a lot of support with therapy and a lot of just rehabilitation to get them assimilated back into society. And as you can see, the Salvation Army has helped dramatically, and they don't only specify to homelessness and sex trafficking. They also are out there combating poverty. They provide assistance with domestic abuse, advancement of arts. They are very into music and the arts, and getting children involved within those things. They also combat addiction and help with disaster survivors. So there's a lot of things that Salvation Army does, yet within all of this assistance, the Salvation Army sticks to its roots, and that is to spread the gospel to anyone who will hear. They are soldiers marching on to win souls for Christ, and I think this is just an amazing organization, and they do a lot of help within our community and the world.